This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
First things first, I thought it was another really strong Raw this week. We've got Maxine Dupree as our new champion. She's dethroned Becky, which actually I don't mind. I think that's been a story a long time in the making, and I've quite enjoyed that. And then obviously, yay, we get an AJ Lee return. Further setup for both War Games matches with the return of Brock Lesnar and the OCT. Charlotte looks like she's coming round to join the women's team possibly, so maybe we're going to get AJ Lee on the War Games team. That would be really cool. And then sucker punch. I feel we've got SmackDown going back to 3 hours in the new year, which fills me with utter dread, makes it a lot harder watch. And I think since it reduced to 2 hours, it's actually been a pretty good show and the content's been better. So hopefully in the build up to WrestleMania, they can fill those 3 hours, let's say productively. But at the moment, I'm thinking, oh God, that's a lot of work. Right, so let's get to it and review the SmackDown that aired November the 21st from Denver. And of course, we start off with our rivals. We've got Flair and Bliss. Cole confirms that Flair will be on the War Games team and says they will name the last member of the women's team tonight. So that's cool. We've got Finn and JD. Finn's here for his match tonight as he faces Penta in the Cena tournament later on. And the Vision, we've got Logan Paul, seems to be an official member now. We get a recap of last week's show and also Raw, how it worked out with the War Games team on the men's side. And we kick off tonight with the Vision in the ring, getting pretty much booed out of the building. Heyman says that he has had a vision for War Games and he's going to bestow that on us now. He says 5 of your heroes will be locked in a double cage with Braun, who is going to bite all their asses, and Reed, who is going to tsunami them. He then goes on to say something about the devil will sell his soul to you, so when you die, there's no competition to run the joint. That's how bad it's going to be. He then introduces Logan Paul, who gets even more boos, and he tells Denver to shut their mouths. And he goes to start reading a list off his hand, which looked a bit crap. But I think maybe that's meant to be the point. But before he can start, thankfully, he's interrupted by the Usos. Jay has the mic and he tells Paul no one cares what he has to say. And he's right. He asks Heyman if his mind is right as they just drop them all on Raw. Heyman says he just made a big mistake pissing off Logan Paul. And he tells them that that he created the bloodline, it was so Roman Reigns' family could eat, and the 2 of them didn't have to live off him anymore. He says the first thing he taught them when he made the bloodline was that the numbers game always wins. He goes to count the members of the Division, tells them they're outnumbered and they're about to get their asses kicked. Jimmy says that he did learn from him, and do you think we showed up alone and Cody's music hits? And he doesn't come out. And I thought, oh, maybe he's going to come from behind, although that's not a very face thing to do. So everyone looks confused. We then get footage of the outside where Drew is getting off Cody's bus, complete with a Scotland football top. And congratulations to Scotland for qualifying for the World Cup this week. Drew getting off Cody's bus, and then we've got Cody there hanging out the bus all beat up. The Usos leave the arena area and run out to help him. We then get Drew drive past Cody, telling Cody, see you next week at War Games, champ. So the angle that we're getting here is Com saying that Drew is a genius because he didn't break the rules, he didn't go into the arena. No, okay, but then surely he's just assaulted someone outside, so he probably should be arrested. Anyway, look, not a bad opening to the show. Obviously, there's a lot of crossover at the moment between brands, so we're getting a lot of recaps, making sure that the whole audience is up to speed, and I guess that's okay. It's War Games, and that should all peter out after the next couple of weeks. For me, I'm not sure if Logan Paul joining the Vision will be a long-term thing, or is it a one-and-done after War Games. I'm not sure in kayfabe, at least his ego fits with this group, but let's see what they do with it. I guess they have done what they needed to do in terms of furthering a bit more of the men's War Games storyline. First up for in-ring action this week, we've got the outstanding Ilya Dragunov for his latest US Champion Open Challenge. And who do we have tonight? And it's quite exciting. This is JD McDonough from the Judgment Day, and this should be very interesting. This one kicks off and comms tell us there's a lot of bad blood between these two after they met. Check this out. Over the years on the indies in Europe, again, we mention that there is wrestling outside of WWE, which is just great. Things pretty even in the early goings, and these two are evenly matched. JD coming out a bit more on top, smashing Ilya's face, pretty much breaking his face. Ilya, though, is made of ridiculously tough stuff and is fighting back. Dragunov has some amazing and awesome moves. And we're back toe-to-toe in the ring, trading chops and punches. Dragunov with a couple of massive suplexes on JD. Goes for the third, but JD manages to hit a brainbuster and gets a super close pin on Dragunov. This one moves to a close and finishes up as Dragunov hits the H-bomb and gets the pin. A really, really good match. These two tore it up and I really enjoyed it. I'll say again, I am loving this US Open Challenge, and totally credit to JD who handled his business by himself. No shenanigans. It was just a really good, clean match. Very enjoyable. Now we shift angles to the Women's War Games and we get a recap of last week's SmackDown and the events of Raw, which I spoke about in my opening bit of the show here. Which, by the way, I really liked that bit on Raw where we got Bliss talking down the camera and telling Flair off. I thought that was a great angle, something a bit different. And give Bliss a mic, let her cut promos. She is absolutely blooming great. So then we get back to tonight's action and we have Flair and Bliss backstage. Bliss is telling Flair she's really proud of her, and Flair tells her that she only did it for her. Doesn't mean she trusts anybody else, Rhea specifically, I'm guessing. They walk into a room backstage with Rhea and Io, and Bliss wants Flair to talk to Rhea, and they are left alone in the room together. Kathy has Nick backstage. She asks him for an update on Cody's situation. He says that he's being checked out and that's all he knows. He then spots the Vision and approaches them and tells Heyman he doesn't know why they're all here tonight. He says his hands are tied, just like they're tied with the situation with Drew. Tells Heyman this isn't War Games, this is SmackDown, and that Drew is still suspended. Heyman says Drew isn't here, he's outside, and Heyman has told him to leave anyway. And they all respect Nick so much, apparently. Heyman tells Nick that Bronson Reed doesn't need any help in his match tonight, because obviously they're only over here tonight because Bronson Reed has a match with Mello. And we now get that match. This is Mello versus Reed in the Cena tournament. Now, apparently tonight's matches are the last 2 rounds. And in that respect, we know all the people who are going to be involved. Now, is anybody else massively underwhelmed by who we've had here? Looking at who's in the tournament, we've had no really big surprises, and the returns that we did have both got completely squashed. So that leaves us with a field of, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, meh, to be seen as last opponent. Like with the heel turn, I think they've dropped the ball here. And they've done Cena proper day on his last opponent. Before the match, we go backstage where we have Dragunov. He's approached by Tama Tonga. Ciampa tells him not to worry about Tama. He says if he didn't have Fraxium tonight, he would have been champ, and that Dragunov is lucky. Dragunov calls him a jackass, so that's still building. I don't see Ciampa being the one to take the title off Dragunov, but he does seem to be getting a lot more build than anyone else is getting, so I guess make of that what you will. Back to the Cena tournament. We've got Reed versus Mello. And an even bigger wow moment than the Indies getting mentioned, we get a mention of JR from Cole. And not just JR, but the great Jim Ross. It really is a brand new world, isn't it? This one kicks off with Mello trying to get a quick start, but he is soon absolutely mullered by Reed, getting his arse handed to him well and truly. Mello manages to counter Reed into a DDT, gets himself a nice 2 count, and he follows up with another slam and another close cover. Reed is booted out of the ring by Mello, and at that point is quickly joined by his vision lackeys that he allegedly wasn't going to need tonight. That turns the match firmly in the favour of Reed, and at this point Mello looks done. He mounts a bit of a fight back, but Logan and Braun make their presence felt at ringside. Cole saying he thought Logan was the Maverick who did things by himself and didn't need a crew. It's a great point, Cole. As Mello tries to mount another comeback, takes out Reed with a clothesline, and Mello has the crowd behind him, and it just goes to show another example. We're going to call it the Flair effect from now on, but just how quickly you can turn yourself from a firm heel to a firm face in a relatively short period of time with the right booking. Mello hits the frog splash and gets a super close cover. This one looks over though, as Reed has the tsunami lined up, but Mello rolls out of the way and then manages to hit the first 48 on Reed. Mello takes them all out, all of the vision flying over the top rope, and the crowd remain 100% behind him. Mello hits a DDT off the top rope, gets himself another super close cover, but Reed manages to just kick out. Breaker goes to spear Mello off the Logan Paul distraction, but he gets intercepted by a super kick from Jey Uso, and it's all gone to hell. Cody appears from the crowd, looking all beaten up and still in his dirty, bloody shirt from earlier. He takes out Reed on the outside, chucking Mello back into the ring, which gives Mello the count-out victory on Reed. Well, that was actually pretty unexpected. I had this one being an absolute massacre for Mello, but it was a really good match, plenty of shenanigans, and I like very much how we're getting crossover stories from War Games into the Cena tournament, as if this was real life. We know it's not, as it would. You don't just suddenly forget your beef because you've got a different match. Post-match, Cody has the mic and says to Drew that he was done with him, but now he doesn't want to be done with him at all. He says to Bronson that he's probably the best in the group, but he won't figure it out till he's looking up at the lights. He says to Braun Breaker, historically, a Steiner is never better than a Rhodes. And he says to Logan, no one cares about you. And to Brock, he says, remember who's beaten you twice. He says to Heyman, the way our history is, you build them up and I will knock them down. He says he will see you at War Games where it's his birthright. A really good match again. Another excellent match tonight, and a nice follow-up segment with a great promo from Cody. So all very positive. Now we go backstage. We've got Alba, and she's obviously, Chelsea comes over to her. She's being chased around by Julia and Kiana James. Chelsea says that she's not feeling it tonight and she wants to cancel her celebration. She says the crowd get to see the best ever women's champion at her best, or something to that effect. We then get another encounter with Jade, who tells Chelsea she will show her what a true champion looks like. I wonder if Stephanie's coming over then. That's a joke, because it certainly ain't Jade. Anyway, where are we going with this, do we think? This is the second or third time that these two have had an encounter. Please say we aren't going to see Chelsea fed to Jade and squashed. That would be hideous. but there must be a plan because they're pushing this for some reason, and I don't know what it is. Next out, we've got some traditional tag action, and it's Fraxium versus DIY. Before we get to that match, though, we go backstage where we have Sammy giving one hell of a pep talk to his gang. He tells the MFTs that they are united and they're an international coalition of the best. Motor City Machine Guns say we know each other a long time. We may not have the same family tree, but you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Sammy says that next week the MFTs are going down. I mean, it should be a good match for sure. DIY on the way out to the ring now, they've got awesome merch. It starts off with Ciampa wearing a "Don't Call Me a Jackass" t-shirt. Then we've got Johnny out, and he's got a t-shirt on that says "Don't Call My Best Friend a Jackass." And then Candice comes out, and she's got a t-shirt on that says "Don't Call My Husband's Best Friend a Jackass." It's really funny. It's really tickled me. I like it. This one kicks off with Fraxium clearing DIY out of the ring, and as per, looking awesome. Fraser looking for an early pin as Fraxium both hit Johnny with frog splashes. Fraser is in and running rings around Johnny, getting himself another good cover. DIY hit Shutter Machine from nowhere and earn themselves a literal 2.9 cover on Fraser. Now the momentum with DIY as Ciampa takes out Fraser's knees, obviously slowing things down. Some shenanigans, surprisingly not, from Candice at ringside. She manages to pull the mask off Axiom, and off that distraction, and him obviously trying to cover his face with his hands, that allows Johnny to pick up the win. So excellent healiness from the whole of DIY there. Looked like Axiom, were pretty certain to get the win. Does that mean DIY are now facing Wyatt 6 for the title? It's not clear. Don't think I want to see a DIY with the titles, but let's see how it plays out. It was a great match. Fraxium really are just so exciting to watch as a tag team. They're really, really good. We now go back to Flair and Rhea, who are having a very serious looking sit down, pretty much just staring at each other as we start off. Rhea tells Flair, look, whatever went down between us, it was to prove who was the best, but for War Games, she's willing to put it all to the side. She says that it might not be put to the side forever. It might come back, which is good to hear. She says after everything we've been through, she's always respected her. If someone had asked her who she wanted to go to war with and stand beside, she would have said Flair. They agree to trust each other and they shake on it, so that's set then. I like it. It feels genuine. Remembering back to the rivalries that the two of them have had over the years, they wouldn't just let bygones be bygones straight away, would they? In real life, you don't just forget things like that. So I'm into this. There feels like there's a level of reality tonight in this show. I don't know who's written it, but kudos to you. So now we've got the Cena tournament last match, Finn versus Penta, which I am decidedly meh about. This one kicks off, Finn in charge, but Penta making his skills pay. So quick and has Finn literally running around in circles. The winner of this one will face Solo on Monday. Penta over the top and wipes out Finn. So far, Finn not doing much in this match, and to be honest, is being completely outclassed by Penta. Cole says that Balor's done a nice job of grounding Penta, and not in the match I'm watching, he hasn't, Cole, so I'm not sure what's happened there. We get a close cover from Penta, and the crowd obviously well behind him. Balor with an elbow to the chest and goes for the cover, with Penta kicking at 2. Penta avoids the coup de grace and hits some kind of driver, getting a pin himself, forcing Finn to kick 2.9. Penta hits the Mexican Destroyer and finally gets the win. A good match. So we've got Penta versus Solo. That's surely got to be a Penta win. We've got Gunther versus Melo. Well, that will probably be a Gunther win. Rusev versus Jay will probably be Jay, as they not push him again. And LA Knight is versus a TBD, as Sheamus is out with a shoulder injury. Now, the TBD that could be interesting is that's offering me a little chink of light and hope that might be someone exciting. Who could it be? I did see something online that it might be Randy Orton, which would be the least exciting of exciting options, but still better than Sheamus. Out of all of those guys, and not knowing who TBD is going to be, assuming at this point it's not going to be Jericho and that my prediction is wrong, which hurts to say, I will say that I reckon the only one left in that's credible enough to be seen as last opponent is Gunther, which in itself is boring as hell. We go backstage. We've got a promo now from Solo, who tells Penta congratulations, tells him come Monday his time is up and his time is now, ripping off directly from Cena's entrance music. We see what you did there, Solo. He says next week he will make an example of Sammy and his boys. He tells Sammy that he has no chance, goes through Sammy's team and roasts them all a little bit, and the Solo says that when the smoke clears and it's just him and Sammy, he will put him away for good. And I'm actually looking forward to that match. It should be a really fun one. So, look forward to that. I think it's a Survivor Series style elimination match, so should be good. Next up, we have the Women's War Games team, and they are going to reveal their last member. Please let it be AJ Lee. I really want to see her in action again. Is the heel team complete yet? I don't think it is, so we could get Becky on that team. Continuing the super slow burn between AJ and Becky would be very cool. The Women's War Game team comes out to a great reaction from the crowd, and just like that, Flair is back to being 100% over and a face again after a really shaky moment on last week's show where it felt like the crowd didn't really know what to do. They felt like, I think she was turning her back on Alexa, and I think they sensed that Charlotte might be about to do her dirty. So they let her know in no uncertain terms they weren't happy with that. But it looks good this week. She is back to being 100% by Alexa's side. Comms mentioning that this doesn't look like a team, looks like two sets of duos, which to be fair is a pretty fair observation. Obviously we have Rhea and Io who are busy mates. Then we've got Flair and Bliss who are friends, not friends, busy mates, whatever they are. So yeah, it is. But I mean, when in wrestling do we ever really get, unless it's a faction, 5 people who are genuinely all an actual team? Anyway, Rhea with the biggest pop of the lot, of course. She is the most over and gets a phenomenal welcome. Telling, I think, obviously times are changing within WWE. We have Rhea out last of the face team, meaning that the ladies all walk down to the ring with Rhea's music accompanying them. Back in the old days when we were on a super Charlotte push, I think we probably would have had Charlotte out last and everyone walking down to the ring to Charlotte's music. So I think the winds of change are certainly blowing here. Rhea has the mic and she says that at Madison Square Gardens, the Kabuki Warriors, Nia and Lash, didn't realise how together they were. And that's a big problem for them because it's moments like this when you find out who is real and who is fake. She says if she's going to war, she needs to be sure it's with the right people, like for instance her friend Io, who she knows if it all goes down will stand by her and fight with her. And then she says we've got Flair and Bliss, 2 of the most decorated women in the division. She says that we might not be the best of friends, but at the end of the day, she knows she can trust them and they can trust her. She says that's only 4 and we need 5. She says I want to introduce our 5th member. And yes, light it up. It's AJ Lee. I am so pleased. I can't tell you guys. That's freaking awesome. As we are watching AJ Lee's entrance, we get the face team attacked from behind by the heel team. And as AJ runs down to try and help them, she is blindsided by Becky, who takes her out. So that, for me, looks like it's confirmed. We have Becky on the team as she joins the rest of them in the ring and shake hands with Asuka. So first things first, happy as I could be that we've got AJ Lee in the War Games team. That's awesome. And Becky joins the heels. Now I'm interested to see how she interacts with Nia, because let's just remember it was Nia's most famous botch when she broke Becky's nose that brought us the iconic image of Becky covered in blood and the birth of the man. So a bit of a full circle moment. I'm very happy with the Women's War Games teams. I think it's going to be epic. The Men's War Games team, slightly more inevitable. I'm still not totally sure how Logan Paul fits, but I can only assume it was originally probably going to be Seth, and his injury has forced creative to change direction and change their plans, leaving us with what we have. But actually, it's a little bit of something different, isn't it? And we might actually all be quite surprised. And let's just say, if Logan Paul does continue with the vision after War Games, then that is quite an interesting proposition. If they win, maybe he stays. If they lose, I guess he will split off and become the Maverick again. I've said enough about how I feel about the Cena tournament. My last hope is pinned on whoever TBD is. So let's find out who TBD is against LA Knight, which I think they said Monday night on Raw, and circle back to it next week. I really hope it's someone cool. I think at this point, unless Sheamus's injury is a work, which of course it could be, we could get complete surprise and end up with a Jericho or an Edge even as TBD, which would completely blindside us all, right? Because at this point we all think it's settled. So maybe this is just really clever booking. I fear not, and I am going to say that I think it's going to be Randy Orton, and maybe we end up with Randy as Cena's last opponent. I'm a bit disappointed. I think Cena deserves a barnstormer in his last match, though. But said enough about that. Let's see who TBD is and where we go. All in all tonight, though, I thought it was a really good show. Storylines all progressing as you would expect, and some brilliant new things. But actually, some excellent matches as well, which is not something we can always say. But the match quality on both SmackDown and Raw for the last couple of weeks has been, generally speaking, really good. And when that's paired with good storytelling, I don't think we can ask for too much more as wrestling fans. So very happy as we move towards Survivor Series. We've got some wicked matches coming up next week on SmackDown as well. And of course, Cena's last show. So that just about does it for this week's show. As always, thank you for having me in your ears. And remember, until next time, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.